the source and then design the curriculum around it, or look at an existing curriculum and take the Quran as a resource. And what we would like to look at both, but one thing that popped in my mind when Doctor was talking about the system is we have a system that we follow, and we have Quran that also we follow. How can we combine the two? And one very important thing that inshallah we have to come, and it's a project that everybody has to be part of. And as I saw last year, there was an email passing around asking for teachers to be part of the project and collaborate with Dr. Muhammad to be able to come up with a curriculum, which is very important for us. We have to have books that teach this way. We cannot have our own books and then go around because you don't have time. And how many times with the teachers that I worked with, I asked them to integrate. And what comes back is we don't have time. Give me a resource to use and I will follow it. So inshallah, that's something very important for us to do. What we looked at is we focused on the ta'aleem part and what areas that could be taught. Of course, there's plenty of examples to be written and to be used, but mainly science and math are the things that pop out the most out of the areas that we worked or looked at, and Islamic studies and Arabic, and of course you can implement them in all kind of areas. The tazkiyah part is connecting to the creation, or connecting creations to the Creator. We are, as human beings, part of a system that is designed to perfection. We have to recognize the command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to explore and learn about His creations and understand the greatness of Allah by learning about His creations. The following part of this, the last ayah, the following part is ذكر فإنك مذكر فما أنت بمذكر فذكر إنما أنت بمذكر لست عليهم بمسيطر. Very important part, sociology. We're not here as dictators. We're here to work with each other, and that is very important part to connect. Sometimes you start from the ayah, you start to cover one or two ayahs, but you really have to look into the whole picture, because the surah itself is put together by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and is complete in itself, and it would be also complete in the curriculum itself. Wa jazakumullahu khair.
Question period, inshallah, we'll leave it till the very end. And I just want to acknowledge Brother Akhtar Muhammad, who gave me a lot of advice, and he was patient, because in order to teach an old person the new technology is kind of hard, and he really did a good job. Brother Akhtar Muhammad, student at UBC, University of British Columbia in Vancouver. And I also thank the principals of the schools, Muslim School in British Columbia, for allowing me to visit their classes and make disturbance as usual. Now, what I want to do here, I want to make some comments on the group work you did. And this comments on the ayah that says, وَخَلَقَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ فَقَدَّرَهُ تَقْدِيرًا. And I relied on Brother Harun Yahya in his encyclopedia of science, so to speak, Islamic sciences, and I'm going to tell you what he said about this, about taqdeer from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You will be surprised. The first one, he was talking about surface gravity. If it is stronger, the atmosphere will hold too much ammonia and methane. If it is weaker, the atmosphere will lose too much water. But it's just right there. About distance from the parent star, from the sun. If the earth is farther, it will be too cool for a stable water cycle. If it is closer, it will be too warm for water cycle. This is not my work, this is Harun Yahya's work. He was talking about thickness of the crust of the earth. If it's thicker, much oxygen will be transferred from the atmosphere to the crust, and we'll lose our oxygen. If it is thinner, volcanic and tectonic activity will be too great. inclination of orbit. If it is too great, the temperature difference on the planet would be too extreme. If it is less, they also be too extreme. Inclination of orbit, you know what I mean? If you are a science person, a geoscience person, the Earth, North Pole, South Pole, it doesn't go like this, but it goes like this. See, and this makes all kinds of stuff. Next one, about rotation period. The diurnal temperature difference would be too great. If it is longer, if it is shorter, the atmospheric wind velocities would be too great also. Gravitational interaction with the moon. If it is greater than what we have, tidal attacks on the ocean, atmosphere, and rotational period will be too severe. And this is called the balance. ووضع الميزان. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ووضع الميزان. He put the balance. The Quran doesn't say where. وضع الميزان. Use your mind and say where. Everything around you. أفعال الله, in the creation of Allah. Everything you see, the balance. The balance in due proportion, precision. That's why I use this from Google. I use this, the balance images. The magnetic field, if it's stronger, electromagnetic storms will be too severe. And if it is weaker, will be have inadequate protection from hard radiation. Albedo here means the ratio of reflected light to the total amount falling on the surface. If it is greater, ice age will develop. If it is less, greenhouse effect will develop. But Allah give it just right on the right track. Now, oxygen to nitrogen ratio in the atmosphere. If it is larger, advanced life function would proceed too quickly. If it is smaller, life function will be too slowly, will develop too slowly. Carbon dioxide and water vapor. If greater, greenhouse effect would develop, and the opposite if it is too less. Oxygen. If it is greater than what we have, plants and hydrocarbon would burn very easily. If it is less, living things could not reciprocate. Ozone level in atmosphere. If it is greater, surface temperature would be too low. If it is less, surface temperature would be too high. And too much ultraviolet radiation will reach the surface with all its problems. I guess this is it. And we'll go back, inshallah, to what is here. To, I guess the last part is the question period, question and answer period.
Jazakallah khair, Dr. Muhammad, for your great efforts. I have two in between comments and questions. The first one, when we are dealing with, especially in the science, when teaching science, I'm a science teacher. So when we integrated the Quran and the Ahadith to the scientific curriculum, sometimes, especially at the younger age, it's in my opinion, is very, very critical, because sometimes they consider the Quran as a textbook or scientific textbooks, and we know that even وما فرطنا في الكتاب من شيء, which is of course true, but at sometimes or the same time that some scientific theories, scientific work is not, maybe because our shortage in technology and knowledge, it's not covered in complete way. So how can we put this a very thin borders between that Quran is not a textbook mainly, it's a Kitabun Hidayah or the guidance, and how can we are not believe in the Quran because the science approved these theories, but it should be the opposite way, and this especially for the younger kids. The second point,
what we should do here, we should teach science and make the kids understand. We're teaching science as human effort to understand the creation.